Hey YouTube, Jake Kilroy back in the shop. Thank you for visiting. Appreciate it. If you don't mind, if you enjoyed the video at the end, please press that like, that subscribe, that bell, all that goodness. So last week we made a mold to cast cement or concrete windowsills, and several of them have been cast. So come along as we show you the good, the bad, and the ugly of our concrete windowsill casting experience. Let's get with it.
Once your mold is done, you want to caulk the seams. Use 100% silicone caulk because concrete will not stick to it. Also, don't buy the expensive caulk. You can buy the cheap silicone caulk because you're just going to be peeling it off and throwing it away anyway. Once your caulk is down, use a tool to apply a nice consistent radius. You don't have to buy anything special for this. I'm using a piece of scrap aluminum tube here, and it works really, really well. You see the three lines that are made, the nice radiused chamfer that you've applied to the seam, and then the two pieces of waste that you will peel off later. So it's time to mix some concrete. We're using Quikrete crack resistant concrete mix, which supposedly has fibers in it. So now we're going to add the mix water, and the first thing you're probably asking yourself is, Kilroy, why in the world is the mix water white? Well, let me tell you why. Added to the mix water is this acrylic fortifier made by Quikrete that is supposed to improve water resistance and eliminate the need for moist curing or keeping the concrete wet during the curing process. So we're going to start the mix with about a half a sack of the concrete and about 4 cups of the mix water. And now I'm dumping in about 2 cups of Portland cement. And you're going to see the mix gets really dry about now. I mean, the Portland, that stuff takes the water away, right? And the concrete's balling nicely. It's very dry. There is no excess water here. I'm going to dump a little bit more mix water in, just a touch. And you'll notice it doesn't really change things much. And now we're going to go for the Black Magic, the super plasticizer. This stuff is going to blow your mind. It's made by Quickset. Dumping in about half a packet of this stuff, and watch what happens. It is a mind blower. I added a dry powder to dry concrete, and the next thing you know, it is running as all get out.
Adults.
All right, we've got the mold poured. That's about 4 sacks of mix, and add mixes to get to this point. You can see the aluminum poles we're using to support the steel, and now we're going to vibrate it. This is a Vibeco vibrator I got off of eBay, and it is complete and total overkill. You do not need anything like this. Trust me on that. So we vibrated this mold about the same time that we vibrated the others, but it turned out that we over-vibrated it a little bit. I mean, you look at this, look at the concrete moving around in here, look at the air bubbles and stuff coming out. This thing is definitely overkill. Anyway, we did both ends of the mold, opposite corners. We vibrated it for a total of probably just about 4 minutes maybe. And trust me, that is all you need. All right, so here you can see some little imperfections. These are actually little air pockets. I'll give you some scale here. They're pretty darn small, but you know, the tip of the scraper can get in there, right? So I'm going to have to do a slurry coat to fill these. And it's just in a couple of spots. It's not bad. Certainly the first one I did was worse than this. The other thing I want to show you, let me back out here a little bit, is that on this one, as you can see, I might have over vibrated it a touch because it brought, this is the bottom, right? It's upside down. It brought aggregate to the surface on the bottom. So this may have been vibrated too much. I mean, it's still smooth, right? It's a smooth finish. This baby's going in a window, it'll be fine, right? But it's interesting because I didn't vibrate this one as long as I did some others. Here's the vibrator, this that I used. Somebody asked about it. This is a Vibeco 190. I got it off of eBay for almost nothing, virtually new. This is way overkill. This is serious overkill. When you saw me running it earlier, I mean, I was just babying the air supply here. It's 3/8 inch hookup, right? I was just babying it. And this one's supposed to be fairly low cubic feet per minute. I think the 190 is supposed to use 5 to 6 cubic feet per minute at 90 psi. And it will absolutely rattle your bones. So you don't need this, right? You don't need this thing to vibrate your concrete.
All right, YouTube, here we are. Casted another with the Sills. We have 5 back here. Got the mold ready for number 6. I got to do 4 or 5 more of these. Let me tell you the lessons I've learned here. On my mix, first one I did, I used straight up quickcrete. Not the crackers and stuff, just regular quickcrete. No add mixes, nothing. And I did vibrate it, and it came out okay. It looks fine color-wise. It matches the other stuff. They have a lot more air pockets and inclusions. I had to do 2 slurry coats and had to really mess with it for a while. This mix that I've been using, which is, you know, I'd say per sack, it's a 50-pound sack of the Quikrete crack resistant. 4 cups of Portland, 2 quarts of mixed water, and a packet of the Quick Set flow control. I've been using that thing since then. A lot fewer air pockets and inclusions, much less secondary work to do. So, and the concrete's a whole hell of a lot harder. How do I know this? Do I have testing equipment? No. What I will tell you is sanding. It's like taking a file to harden metal. Like sandpaper does not like this stuff. It's extremely hard. It makes a much smoother surface. So this mix that I'm using now seems to be working pretty good. So I'm going to stick with it. The vibrator, as you've seen this thing, serious overkill. You don't need anything that big, trust me. But other than that, I mean, it's a process. So we've got a bunch more to do. I'm leaving these things in the mold for 3 days after we cast them. I'm not covering them with water. Once the concrete's in, the bleed water comes to the surface. I just leave that on the surface. When that evaporates, that evaporates. That takes about a day. And I'm leaving it in there for 3 days. As far as release agent goes, the first few that I did, the first 4 that I did, I used old axle grease. Worked great. I didn't show you a video of the stuff coming out of the mold because there was nothing to it. I took these ends off, which I probably didn't even need to do that. I took the ends off, I tilted this up, laid it over, and it just fell out of the mold. The last one we did, the one you just watched, we used Crisco as our release agent. And it worked just as well as the axle grease. The axle grease did leave a little residue on the surface of the concrete, and I was trying to do away with that. And the Crisco seems to have helped with that. And this is a natural product as opposed to petroleum product, not that I really care. But I ran out of axle grease. So that's what I use as a release agent. Some tips that I'll give you that I learned the hard way: make sure your pattern, your mold is clean. If you have little specks of dirt and dust in the bottom of your mold, it'll hold on to air and it'll make an air bubble in the surface of your casting. And don't paint your mold. This is a mold, it's not a pattern. If you're going to use something like HDO or melamine, I painted this and filled this to try to smooth the transition between the sloped surface and the flat surface in order to make that a smoother transition. That was a mistake. I shouldn't have painted it. I shouldn't have worried about filling it because the paint, the concrete, adheres better to the smooth painted surface than it does to the HDO surface. Don't ask me, but it does. And you'll see little yellow spots in the castings that come out with sanding, but still is something that has to be done with. So don't paint your mold. Make sure it's clean. Caulk it with a 100% silicone caulk, and liberally apply your release agent, and everything will fall out. So anyway, it's been a fun process. We got a bunch more to do. Thomas and Lauren and my wife, thank you very much. They've been helpful, very helpful. Couldn't do this without them. I couldn't pick this up and get it out of here by myself. The small one weighs about 200 pounds, probably right at 200 pounds. So anyway, be safe in the shop. We'll be back with you soon.